Welcome to another episode of the Sipping and Tripping podcast, where we connect with amazing people. Today's topic is love, trust, and commitment. I am your host, Desmond Black, and the people that's on stage today is Miss Nisa and Miss Jessica Dolan. How are you guys doing today, and how's your week so far?
Doing well. My week is going pretty good. Can't complain.
Doing great. Busy, busy. So that's always a good thing.
Okay, so let's see, Nisa, can you tell the viewers a little bit about yourself and where you come from and what you do?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Nasya Shepard. I am CEO and founder of Miracle Moments LLC. And Miracle Moments LLC is based off my life where I experienced my first miracle moment at birth with my esophagus and my stomach not connected. And that has inspired me to help other individuals discover their miracle moment. Now, what that means is what you may feel is impossible with miracle moments, we can make possible when it comes to your brand visibility for your business, elevating your voices to be heard, and then also AI receptionist implementation into your business where you're not missing calls or appointments when you're not in the office or on the phone with somebody else.
All right, Jessica.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, my name is Jessica Dolan. I'm a mediator and I help business owners and leadership teams resolve high stakes conflict before it turns into battles, legal battles. I help prevent turnover, reputational damage, and I run a structured process that gets real issues on the table, protects their dignity, and produces clear agreements so that people can move forward, keeping those working relationships intact. I also tackle it on the home side, right, with families between divorce mediation, parenting plans, even estate and inheritance issues. So, any of those high conflict transitions that we go through in life, that's what I assist with.
Okay, nice. I love it, love it. So I know you guys are first timers. So on my platform, I like to conversate, educate, and entertain. And today, I just want to talk about how the road can get both bumpy and beautiful at the same time when we talk about relationships. Um, I want everybody to know that this is a no judgment conversation. Answer as you please. It's a safe space. Um, so the first question I want to ask is, why do you think that love is so hard?
Mhm.
That's a good question. I can go first if you want.
Yeah.
I think that love, well, first, I think it differs from generation to generation, right? The way that people define love and how we approach it is different based on age. And so that's one of the biggest things that I see is the difference between what their parents may view as love versus what they view as love and how they display it and how they communicate it. And that's another huge thing because we have so much technology. Like I see it with my children because I have an 18-year-old and a 16-year-old. And the way that they're starting to date and they have their little things going on. But the way that they have learned to communicate digitally has made it harder to connect organically. And so for me, I think the technological aspect and the generations, the difference in the way that they see things and have experienced things makes love hard, along with everyday challenges that we all have.
Nicer.
That's good. Repeat the question one more time.
Why do you think love is so hard?
Love can be hard because of for well, I would say from a standpoint of well, let me see. Hold on. That is a very good question. Honestly, I don't think love should be hard, but like Jessica was saying, it in different ages of where you are in your life. Um and then as I think about it, you have to love yourself first. So it can be hard if you don't love yourself first. Because
Very
how can
true.
Absolutely,
you
I
love
like that.
somebody? Yeah, so how can you love somebody else if you don't love yourself?
Right. So basically, like you gotta find that love within yourself before you can uh understand what it means to love. So okay, so
Yeah.
once you find that love within self, you think it's easier to understand and know what love looks like moving forward, like with any other relationship.
Yeah. And then, yeah, I think as once you start learning yourself and loving on yourself, you're able to love on others, and not only just love on others, meet them where they are, because love can be tricky at times. But it also requires empathy, passion, and self-awareness.
Okay. Okay. So this is the to kind of like piggyback off of that. So share with everybody your views, perspectives, and your processes when it comes to love. Like, how do you view love once you're in a relationship? Like, what are your expectations from your significant other when it comes to love?
Ooh. I think that that kind of depends on each person, right? Each person has, I don't know if you guys have like read about the love languages, but what you want to feel love depends on the person. And so, and it can also change over time. So in the beginning of the relationship, you may want a lot of touch, a lot of gifts, but when you're 10, 15 years down the road, that may not be what you're looking for. You might be looking for acts of service. You might be looking for consideration, right? You thought about how you could make my day better.
Mm,
That's what made me feel love. Versus in the beginning, it might have been, oh, he bought me this nice purse. I'm so happy.
Mm,
So I think it
right,
I think it changes with the person, and also over time what your category or definition of love is. And also it goes back to Nasya's point about self-awareness, right? If you don't know what you love for yourself, how are you going to be able to tell someone else how to love you?
right.
yeah, that's so true. Is it my turn?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Um, oh, hold on.
I know he's asking some heavy hitters.
Yeah, so definitely some heavy hitter questions, and in all honesty, it has me reflecting on um different parts of my life of where when I was younger, sometimes you may think you were in love and how that may have felt at the time, but then you like once you get older, you're like, oh, that was not love at all. Like,
Right.
how did I how did I feel that like that was love? Like people like maybe you were in a relationship where somebody disrespected you, but also put a bow on it and made you feel like, oh, and said sweet nothings like, oh, this is what love looks like. In reality, it's not what love looks like. Love doesn't have to hurt.
Right. Okay. So, so if I was to answer that, right, like my views, my perspectives, and my process when it comes to love. So it's one of those things where I try to tell people you don't look for love, you just let it happen organically, right? It's one of those feelings where we can't put our finger on it. We can't really describe it, right? A lot of people try to describe it. A lot of people put the word love in a bubble, in a box, and say this is what love is, but it's not because people love differently. It's about how you feel about somebody. Like by definition, when you have this abundance of emotions and attachment to something or somebody. That's what love is. And I don't know if you religious, Jessica, but you know, God is love, right?
Mhm.
And it's peace. A lot of people say they don't want their peace being disturbed. Well, that all comes together with love, and that's what it is. When you in a relationship with somebody and it's peaceful, that's love, you know. And when it's chaos and disruption, that's not love. Right now, love is not easy. And I like to tell people that it's nothing in life easy, right? God didn't design it to be that way because if things was easy, if life was easy, we all be doing something else, right?
Mhm.
Because if you think about it, the easy things in life, like kids that play video games, when it's easy, it don't hold their attention. They discard it. They don't want nothing to do with it. But when it's hard, it's something about the complexity of it that makes us continue to want to push and do it. It's kind of like I don't want to be defeated. You play a game and you lose, and you're like, I'm done with this game. But you come right back to it because you want to be the victor. And I think that's what it is with love. You just got to let it happen organically. You can't look for it. You can't try to shrink it. You can't try to put it in a box. You just got to embrace it and let it be what it's going to be. She's like, your safe place and home. It just flows naturally. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, that's a tough question. I know a lot of people every year ask that. Go ahead, Nysa.
Yeah, so too, I did have a few notes earlier that I prepared for. This to go back to one of your questions, when you're the process of love, a question that can be also asked: are you loving from a healed place or a wounded place?
Ooh, that's a good
Because
one.
wounded love is possessive, and healed love is secure. And then also, wounded love says, "I need you to complete me," while healed love
Mm,
says, "I want you to compliment me."
I love that. That's powerful. I like that.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
a good
I
one.
mean, so what do you call it when it's a combination of two?
I think it
That
looks
falls into
different
that
from,
trauma
yeah,
bonding.
it goes back into that, trauma bonding, where you're healed, but also like you're you're coming out of that wounded love and into that healed love.
Right.
But it's
Now,
it's like in a, like you said, the trauma. You don't want to get
right.
stuck in that area.
So let me ask y'all this. So do you feel like somebody can truly be healed like completely? Or is it a like healing is an everyday routine? So it's an everyday process. Because that's the way I look at it. I don't think nobody's truly healed, right? I know a lot of
I
people
would
walk around
agree
saying
with
I'm healed.
that.
Yeah.
I
Healing
would
is an
agree with
everyday
that.
journey.
You got to work at it. You got to want it, and you got to pursue it.
Yeah, every day. Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's why I
It's a
look at it.
choice.
Yeah, it's definitely a mindset. It's just I think, like I said, healing is an everyday process. Because you still got emotions every day. Things happen every
Mhm.
day. What if you can't say I'm at an all-time high every single day? I'm high spirited to the max every day because that's not human, right? So I like to tell people I'm healing. I'm not healed, right? I never tell people I'm
Mhm.
healed. I'm healing, or I'm still in my healing process. And some people might look at that as a negative. I'm like, you still in your healing process? How long it's going to take? And I try to educate people, man. I don't push my thoughts and opinions on people, but I tell them like I try to break it down so they can understand where I'm coming from. But like I think healing is an everyday process.
I
Now,
Yeah.
mean, you're your masterpiece, right? So you're constantly working on yourself. A
yeah,
masterpiece is not something you finish early. Like you're continuously working on it. Like even Da
Mhm.
Vinci, he never stopped on his paintings, even though people thought they were done, because to
mm-hmm.
him they were never finished.
Right. And some of his most famous paintings was to us is finished, and we look at it like, wow, that's very nice. But to him, he just never got around to finishing it, and it just became famous in this big thing. So yeah, a lot of people don't know that. So I'm glad you said that. And then like that's the thing. A lot of people want to be that complete masterpiece in life, but there's only one masterpiece. It's only one perfection, and that's God.
Mhm.
It's only one righteous one. So people got to be mindful of that and just like you could strive to be that. You could strive to be perfect, but nothing in life is perfect, right? And definitely when we come to when we talk about love, it's nobody's ever going to get it right
Mhm.
completely, right? So it's a work in progress, and that's key, and that's what keeps relationships flowing in a productive manner. If you think about it, when you're both competing with each other and you got that friendly competition and who can love who more, life is grand, right? Because
Mhm.
now you're trying to outdo the other one in a positive way. So, what's the so everyone's if they haven't found what
If they
love, I
haven't
mean,
found love, I don't think everybody's wrong.
yeah,
And
I'm
it
not,
doesn't necessarily mean romantic love either. There are many different types of love. Now,
Mhm.
that may be
right,
what you're seeking. I don't know if that's what she was speaking to,
right. I'm
but
not,
there
I'm,
are so many different forms of love, whether it's self love,
right,
love of a family member.
Mhm.
There
right,
are I don't know about you guys, but like I've already lost both of my parents. So like my
Ooh,
friends are my family and I love
right,
those people dearly. So, you know, romantic love isn't the only love that you can pursue. And I don't want anyone to think that that's what we're saying here is that that's the only thing that matters. That's not the case, right? If that's
right,
all we had, we wouldn't have a full life.
right. Yeah, exactly,
That's
Rodney.
true.
I
That's
agree. That's
true.
true. They no longer want to do the process. They don't want to do the work because the truth of the matter is doing the work is hard. It's easy to delegate and push that off on somebody else. So I agree with that, Rodney. I appreciate you for stopping by as always. And y'all can always catch Rodney on his podcast. It's the Dad Mentality Podcast. He on a little hiatus right now, but he'll be back soon. Um,
But he's absolutely right because the work is hard.
Said love is not found, love is created. That's true. You don't find love or like yeah, it's not like you're playing hide and seek like oh I found you, but it's one of those
Yeah.
things that God brings to you at the right
Yeah.
time. That's
Healthy
it.
love is intentional.
I like that. I
Yeah.
like that. Okay, look at it. We got the wordplay going today. Now, this next question is an interesting one,
Okay.
and nicer. I know it's gonna be an eye roll to you, but
Okay.
what what do you think about polygamy? What are your thoughts on polygamy? Let's get first, I
Is
guess.
Nisa going
You,
or am I
you
going?
go first.
What are my thoughts on polygamy? It's a choice, and and I think people are free to do as they please. I'm not a proponent of it, if that's what you're asking. I would never recommend that lifestyle just based on what I have seen, but that's my
Right.
own personal opinion. I'm not going to tell somebody else what they can and can't do. If they ask my opinion, then my opinion is that's not what we were meant for.
Got you.
And I agree. We are not meant for polygamy.
So I mean,
She kept
some
that
people
cute
might.
and sweet.
Yeah. She's like, I'm a woman of faith. I'm not gonna. But look, so some people will say biblically, a lot of men in the Bible had many wives,
Yeah.
like Solomon, for example, right? So what do you say to the people that say, well, if the Bible is supposed to be the gospel, and the gospel is saying that a lot of men within the stories had many wives, why are you against polygamy? What would you say?
Mm.
I would say, do we do everything that they did in the Bible?
No.
No.
Truthfully, no. But a lot of people, a lot of Christians, a lot of religious people would tell you they do, or they try to, or they strive to.
But
So
they don't. That's
I
one
mean, because
book I've
nobody's
read
perfect.
many times. Needs to be spoke about if you get into a relationship. Are we talking about polygamy,
Yeah.
Allison?
What are you talking about, Allison? You talking about polygamy? Like I'm not sure what she's because if she's saying that, I mean, obviously, if you're in a
See, that was
relationship and
Old
it's polygamy,
Testament. There's a lot of stuff in the Old Testament that doesn't apply to current day. That's why it's on the Old Testament. And
right?
that's what I'm saying. So if somebody like I would not want to go down that road with someone because I will get defensive when it comes to Bible text. But if we went down that road, that's exactly the lane I was going down, Rodney, is that's in the Old Testament.
And then too, you have to think about it too. Back in the Old Testament, even though they had multiple wives, they also dealt with conflict, jealousy, and division and spiritual compromise.
I would have been
Gotcha.
a
Mhm.
busy lady as a
Yeah.
mediator.
So even in Islam, right? The Muslims they can have up to 5 wives. So like I said, it's a lot of room for people to mention historical texts when it comes to the Bible or religion. So yeah, I thought
There
that was
is. And that's why I give that disclaimer. Like, I'm not anybody to tell you how to live your life. But if you're
Mhm.
asking my
right.
opinion is that no, that is not what we're meant to do.
Gotcha. So okay, so why do you guys feel like people think that the more the better? Like the more partners you have, the better. Why do
Mm.
you think people have that mindset?
Honestly, I think the people that I have seen in non-monogamous relationships, none of them were happy in that monogamous relationship, and that's why that became an option. So I don't think it's necessarily, I haven't met anyone that was like more is better. Not saying that there aren't, but the ones that I have met that were in that lifestyle, they were so unhappy in the monogamous relationship that they were in, but they weren't real willing to let go of it.
Mm.
And so this was a way to kind of have their cake and eat it too, basically. And whether that was because of emotional ties, because they had kids together, or because of financial ties, because they couldn't afford to separate,
Got you.
they would stick together and then also bring in the rest. And then the other partner was just like, well, I don't care, it is what it is, and just kind of let it slide, which I don't know. Maybe that's just my culture, but I was like, what do you mean?
Right. Nicer?
Honestly, I think it's something within themselves that they are not like we talked about earlier, loving yourself. So why do you feel like you need to have more than one? What's
Right,
the purpose? Or is it
right,
something within yourself is that you feel that you're lacking or that you haven't dealt with internally?
right. Yeah, so for me, this is the thing. It's just two things I would say. So
Mhm.
one, I think to piggyback off what you were just saying, I think that a lot of people that wants polygamy or they're for polygamy, I
Mhm.
think it stems from some sort of insecurity, right? When you say within themselves, I think it's insecurities, not feeling like they'll be good enough, right? So
Mhm.
they feel like, let me get the attention from this one, let me get attention from this one, because they're trying to fill a void.
I could
And I
see
think that's
that.
what a lot.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think a lot of times where it comes from. Also, with older men, maybe even with women, I'm not sure, but with age, you feel less desirable, right? Because when you're younger, you might feel like you're on top, like everybody wants me. You feel that desire, and as you get older, things not working the same. You know what I'm saying? Your mind's not where it used to be. You start getting wrinkles. Because believe it or not, like we always pick on women and say women always be like self-conscious and they toughest critic on themselves, but men are too. Like we get in the mirror sometimes and be like, dang, just not as pronounced like as women. We don't do it, it's not as prominent, but we get in the mirror, we be like, dang, this is crazy. Like I'm getting old. Like I have my moments. Like I was telling Nisa before we went live, like I've told people, I'm like, yeah, they were, how old are you? I'm like, oh, I just turned 33. They're like, 33. If you 33, you had a rough life. And I'm like, dang. And then I get back in that mirror and I'm like, do I look older than that? Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. So I think like, a lot of people just want to feel desired, right? I think the more you feel desired, the more you'll be like, I don't need polygamy. She's like, they probably see things in other people that they don't have in their current partner. But yeah, but see, now when we talk about love, though, this is the thing. If you go into a relationship with good intentions or the right intentions and
Mhm.
you're looking for love within each other, I don't think you're looking for something else in somebody else, because it's almost like you got tunnel vision. I know it's been like that with me. Like you get with somebody and you don't see their flaws as flaws. I see their imperfections as perfections in my eyes. Like it's you make me feel good, and I don't see all that negativity. I don't see all them flaws that you see, and that's how it is for me. So once you keep me happy, I keep you happy. I don't think neither one of us is trying to step out or think outside the
Well,
box. That's
like
just
if it was that, then they could just leave their partner, right? If it was just that they
right,
wanted something different, they wouldn't stay in the relationship and become polyamorous. Like they would
right,
just go pursue whatever it is they want.
right.
Mm.
Mhm.
I would agree, Rodney. Yeah.
um. So, and now this is my thing. Now, poly. If a woman came to me and said, "Oh, have a poly relationship," I couldn't do it. I couldn't. Now,
Mhm.
whether that's when you talk about another man, that's definitely a no. That's all the way out. But even if a woman came to me and said, "Bring another woman," you can have two wives. I'm not for that either. For multiple reasons. One, it's bad. It's hard enough to deal with one other personality. Now you talk about two
He
personalities. Now me
almost said
being a
one
man, like,
woman.
Mhm.
right. Now you got your cycles, right? Me being a man, now I'm dealing with two cycles, two menstrual cycles. And you might be on, and now
No,
I
then
gotta
they're
deal
gonna
with
sync up and
double
gang up against you.
more power to the ones that can hold their own through all that, but I can't. I would literally bang my head on the wall and look for every excuse to leave the house. I just couldn't do it. And then it's like I feel like every holiday, birthdays would be a competition. Imagine me being with two women and I buy you
Mm,
this on your birthday. Now the other woman is like, well, I better get something better or
yeah.
equal on my birthday. So now it's like, and what if financially I'm not in the same spot and I get you less than, now it's an argument. I couldn't do it. And I don't know how people do it. I can't.
I don't know.
Um, uh, so, okay. Let me ask you all this. Do you believe that you have to be selfless in the beginning of a new relationship?
No.
No, I don't think you do.
No. Okay, so you should put yourself first because being
No, there's
selfless is
balance.
Yeah, have a balance.
So
okay.
on the spectrum, there's selfless and then there's selfish. And in
Mhm.
between, that's self care. And that's where you should be at all times, is where, you're taking in consideration to your new partner, but you're also taking into consideration what you need, which goes back to what Nasia has been saying all this time, is that you need to love yourself. So if you love yourself, you're not going to overdo it either way.
Mm,
Now,
Right.
sometimes in the relationship, you may need to be selfless, but that doesn't mean you need to start that way.
Right. So that's a tough one for me because I've asked that question before and I spent some time with it. And this is the thing. Um I use myself for example. So like I've been with women that like they were selfless in the relationship and then it became a problem because one like this thing when you all about me, you're not thinking about yourself. Then I start to get accustomed to that, and I lose sight of how you may feel if you take that away. And the moment
mm,
you pull back it's for some time to yourself, now I'm looking at you like you got three heads because it's different to me, right? You taking me out of my comfort zone, and now my mind's roaming like, hold up, what's the change? What's the
With
sudden change? What's the reason? So that could be a problem, but this would be a problem if you put yourself first, and I desire that attention from you, and I'm not getting it. Now I'm thinking like it's a disconnect. So, like you said, Jessica, it should be a balance. But I know a lot of people personally that think that you should be selfless in the beginning of a relationship. Some people feel
mm,
like you should put yourself first. So, because there's a lot of people that tell me you should put yourself first in the beginning of relationships because you really don't know that person and you're still trying to get to know that person. So you don't put all your eggs in one basket. So that's the way it was broken down to me.
I mean,
Nicer.
I can
It
see
was
that perspective, but if that's not genuinely who you are, you're going to get tired of performing all the
mm,
time,
that is true.
yeah,
and they may not embrace you the same way because you're not being your authentic self.
right. And I love that Jahira said that's why you should
Mhm.
take the time to get to know somebody first. And now that is a common mistake. That's a big mistake a lot of people make is not taking the time out to get to know that person. They don't believe in becoming friends first. A lot of people, a lot of us, we're attracted to somebody and we jump head first into the relationship without getting to know that person. And that's what makes it tough. You have to take that time and get to know them, right? And the little subtleties and
Absolutely.
the little mannerisms. Like, that's an important step, but a lot of people don't do that. They skip that and jump right into the relationship, and that's why it's problems. And then like a month down the road, they like, oh, I didn't know this about you. Well, that's your fault. It's not that person's
You
Yeah,
fault.
didn't
That
take
person
the
didn't
time to
you
find
change.
gotta
out.
take the time to know them. Yeah.
I saw this
Absolutely.
TED Talk once. I don't remember the title of the TED Talk, but she said if we treated dating the way that we treat job interviews, we would all be so much better off. Because think about how much time you put in getting your resume ready, looking at the job description, looking at the company, what are the benefits. You look at all these different things,
Mm,
all these aspects of the job. But when you're dating, what are you talking about? What's your favorite
Right.
movie? What's your favorite color? None of that matters.
you gotta go
Right.
deeper.
Yes, you need the substance, which comes
Mm,
with building a friendship. When you
yeah.
build
Right.
that friendship, those topics are going to come out naturally, and the relationship is better for it, like you were saying.
And,
Mm,
and that's crazy because the society puts so many stigmas and just it's so many titles out there these days. Because I know I've taken my time with women and try to really deep dive and get to know them. And I've been told like you're corny. I'm like, why? Why are you asking me
yeah.
these questions? Like, don't you think it's important? Like,
Yeah.
and they're like, no, it's weird. And like, I look at them like, okay, well, this ain't no good fit, and this is crazy. Even on a friendship level, even friends was like, that's not important. It is important though.
Mm.
Those are the ones that end up with a mediator getting divorced because they didn't take the time to do it begin
Yeah.
with.
You gotta take that time to get to know somebody. And I did want to include this part because this is where
I'm lying on my job interview.
we're
Okay,
talking
well, don't
about.
do that part.
No, I'm laughing
The
because
people,
you equated that to relationships and stuff. So he said lying. So that that's a recipe
Oh
for
my
disaster.
God,
You go
don't
into a
do that.
relationship, like
that is
Don't
a
that's
do that.
crazy.
recipe for disaster. You're right.
Well, go ahead, nice. My bad.
Yeah, it's fine. So I know we were talking about selfless, right? And then
Right.
I wanted to read the scripture, Philippians 2:3-4. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, rather in humility value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interest, but each of you to the interest of others. So you're thinking of, each other in a relationship and getting to know each other.
I love how
Not
you
ignoring your
recited
own feelings.
scripture. Yeah, that was
Huh?
good. That was good. I said that was good work right there. I like how you recited a scripture. That was good. You just right on top of your head, it went right to that scripture.
No, I just have my notes.
Oh, okay, okay. I was about to say, yeah, that was pretty good. I'm trying to get on your level. But so to go back to what we were saying too, like, um, when we get together with one person, right, we're also getting together with their dreams, their goals, and their ambitions. So that goes back to what we were saying. It's very important to ask those questions because
Mhm.
it's not just getting in a relationship with the person because of their appearance and things like that. We have to be with them, and their dreams become our dreams, their ambitions become our ambitions, and that's
Yeah.
how you make it. That's how you make it work, right? That's ball and glove right there. You smiling? What happened, Jessica?
She said, "Me too." So, Jayra, she over here lying on her resumes too.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah,
Okay,
that's
well,
Um,
do
crazy.
not
No,
apply that part to your relationships. Okay, disclaimer.
yeah, that won't be good. It might get you like a month or two or something like that. Or if you play your cards right now, let me stop. I don't advocate that stuff. Um, so okay, here's a good one for y'all. What happens when people trauma bond and one person is ready to cure their trauma and the other one is still trying to live within that trauma?
Mm.
no
Like, doesn't
growth.
that create doesn't it, yeah, it creates a disconnect, right?
Yeah.
And,
It's going to create
and
conflict
Hmm.
because one is trying to heal and trying to do better, and then the other one is still like, no, I want to hold on to this. And when
mm,
you're in especially a long-term relationship, there's always going to be one of you that's in a different place than the other one. But
mm,
the one that's ahead has to be willing to reach back out to the other
Yeah.
one and give them a hand up. But that person that's behind has to be willing to reach out and grab that hand and pull themselves forward. And so
right.
you're talking about one that's not willing, it's going to cause some major conflict.
So how do we help the ones like? So I'm not sure if it'll be not willing. Maybe they want to, but maybe they just stuck in the mud and that's what they're used to. They just self pity all the time. How do we? So if we both come into a relationship, we trauma bonding, right? And I'm looking to heal and I'm trying to get up out that mud, and you still stagnant. You're in that mud. How do we go about helping that person get to higher levels, or to reach their potential? How do we get them to change their mindset?
Mm, th- that's a process. Um, like if I was dealing with somebody and we were both like trauma bonding, right? If I
Right.
was working on getting out of trauma bonding and the person that I'm with is not interested, I know for me, what I would do is like if I'm listening to something, I would send it to them because that could help them because you never know what person, like if I'm listening to a podcast or listening to a reel and it has to do with overcoming trauma bonding, I'm going to send it to them because you never know if what the words that are in that podcast or in that reel could reach them far greater than what I can tell them because they're with me and I can be familiar to them. So sometimes they may have to listen to somebody that's on the outside and get another perspective of what they're saying.
Right. And I think one of the hardest things is, sometimes in relationships, like we may be growing together, but we
Mhm.
grow differently, right?
Yeah.
Now, when I say that, what comes to your mind? Like, what are your thoughts?
Say that again.
So, like sometimes in relationships, we might be growing together, but
Mhm.
we grow differently, right? Like you were saying, like when I say grow together, like you in a relationship, obviously if y'all
Mhm.
stay together, then y'all growing together, but you grow differently. Like you might say, all right, I want to do better, or I've reached this point, I want to go higher, and the other person is just still stuck there, like we were saying, stuck in the mud. Um, and that's sometimes that's the difficulty. Sometimes people just get comfortable
Yeah.
and they just be content. And I think that's a lot of times where people want to step out, or that's why some relationships just don't work because of that, right? Like, if how do you be in a relationship with somebody and they're just content, and you don't want to be content, you want to just push further, you want to prosper, you want to thrive? Like, what do we do in those situations?
Well, first and
I would
foremost, oh, go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, first and foremost, I think y'all both should pray, ask God for guidance on what you should do and the path you should take and who to consult in this situation, because the having the right counsel can help you, even though each person has their own path of growth. You're still like getting the right help can help you guys elevate even more. Like you may be at A and this person is at C, but if you want to get to C, then you have to continue to do the work. But the person at C can also help the person at A and give them encouraging words, while also together they're also continue to get help together as a couple.
Jessica?
Yeah, I agree. So when you have someone who you're reaching out to and they're not necessarily receptive to your message, I absolutely agree that you need to loop in other resources. And if praying about it is the way that you determine the best resource for you and your person, then that's what you need to do. That needs to be your first step. However, you seek counsel, whether it's through prayer, through maybe you already have a therapist and you need something a little more deeper than whatever your therapist is doing. Maybe you need couples therapy. Maybe you
Mm.
need a conflict specialist. Maybe you need to talk to someone about what would happen in a divorce. Maybe you're at that point already. Or what I've seen commonly is when that's an issue, a lot of times the partner that's not willing or seems not willing, the one that is willing hasn't really communicated as well as they think they have. And
Mhm.
so
I
that
like that.
person is just like, what are you talking about? Everything's fine. Because, like you said, they're content, so they don't even know that there's a problem yet. And those are the ones that show up and are like, I don't know why we're getting divorced. Everything was fine. And
Mm.
then all of a sudden it wasn't. Because sometimes what we think, we're being super clear about what we want, but the other person is just not receiving it. And that's not, we're communicating, but not effectively, right? The
Mhm.
person's
Right.
not receiving the message that we're giving them. So it's really important when you consult those resources. A lot of times they're able to point out where those disconnects are. Like, she's saying this, but you're not understanding what she's meaning.
Mhm.
Right.
She's trying to tell you that she's not happy. And that's why she
Right.
keeps suggesting all of these courses. Because
Right.
the other
You know,
ones is like, oh, why does she keep asking me about this?
right. And it goes back to the word you use, communication, because sometimes in a relationship, a lot of people argue. And sometimes we need to take a step back, or we should take a step back and say, it's not about what I actually said, it's about what they heard, right? We
Yes.
need to go to our significant other and say, wait. I know this is what I said, but I'm thinking that maybe you took it the wrong way. So when I said what I said, what was you hearing in your ears? And I think if we take that approach, it'll make it's a
It
good
makes a
conflict resolution.
huge,
Mhm.
yes.
And
Right.
then
It's
And,
a
too,
and a
the
lot of
huge
tone,
shift.
the tone
yeah.
that in which it was said. Sometimes it's not what you say; it's how you say it too.
Yeah. So it's a lot of times we don't we don't take that step back and do those things. It goes back to what we were saying earlier, the work, the process. People lose sight of the process and the work. And I don't want to do the work no more. We want it easy, and that's the problem. It's a recipe for disaster. So it goes back to being a team, right? When you get into a relationship, it should be with the good intentions, right? And you got to understand that person or be willing to be that counterpart. You got to look at it like you can't play baseball with one hand, can't play basketball with one hand type of thing. So you need both. So the man's the left, the woman's the right, or vice versa, however you want to look at it. So it's part of it's a limb on your body. You need both of them to function. So that's how we need to go through life. We need to say, okay, well, I got my left is working, my right is not. What can I do to supplement and to bring that up to speed? And that's how you got to look at a relationship. You got to be a cohesive team at all times. So if that person's down, you got to lift them up. A lot of times people they don't want to do the work no more, and they look at it like, oh, I'm not down, I'm up right now. And so too many times I've seen people in relationships like that, and that's sad. It's terrible. You have to tough it out. When people get married, they say for better or worse. Well, in relationships, it should be the same thought process, the same concept. For better or worse, you're supposed to be there to help them. If this is your person, right? If this is your soulmate, as you say, help that person. If they down, help them. Because if you're not helping them, they're also a reflection of yourself. So if they look bad, you look bad because you with them. And that's the way I like to look at it. So another great question for you guys. What is a provider to you? Like, what does a provider mean to you?
You go ahead, Jessica.
I like how she just threw me out there, but so I mean, a provider has got to provide more than just financially. It's definitely way more than that. I need someone that is going to be there day in, day out, willing to do the work. Like, I am married currently and I have 3 kids. Like, I can't have somebody who's like, oh, I'm tired. Ain't no I'm tired. Okay. We are in this together. We are in the trenches. Okay. I have 2 teenagers.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? Like, somebody that's going to be that steadfast rock. And I'm not saying that, he's always going to be that, because there are times where I have to be that, because a marriage is give and take. So it's got to be somebody that I can work with, right? A teammate, somebody that I can tag in when I'm the one that's down, and then he can tag me in when he's the one that's down. And to understand that is to be a provider, right? He has to understand that he needs to be what I need him to be, and I got to be what he needs to be. So I kind of feel like the provider role, I know traditionally is defined as a gentleman, but sometimes you have to step up when life throws you some curveballs, because we've had some crazy ones. So
I love that.
so sometimes, yeah, sometimes you're kind of both wearing that hat in a long-term relationship. Like, we've been together for 13 years. So we've seen some stuff.
Yeah, my longest relationship was 8 years.
Hey, 8 years is a good chunk of time.
Yeah. Nasya?
I would say a provider looks like a safe space where, like Jessica was saying, when times get hard, you guys can talk to each other. You're not feeling judged, but it is more than just the finances. It's like, how are you not making me feel, but like, emotionally, are you there for me emotionally, and like helping, like mentally? Sometimes we go through things in our minds, but can we sometimes unload on you, or you unload on us, vice versa, because that's definitely necessary. You want to be in a safe space where you're able to do all these things and not feel judged or feel like you have to keep things on the inside.
Support.
Nicely put. Yeah, nicely put. Okay. So how apropos, like, it's 2 women of faith of God, right? That speaks that way, because on the last like 2 weeks I posted on social media question of the day, and one of the questions I asked was about the provider. What's a provider? And all these women was like, oh, money. And I was like, no, it's deeper than money. because being a provider is providing a service, right? That means emotionally, you got to provide
Mhm.
emotionally, you got to provide uh in all fashions, right? Because put it this way, money is great to have, but
Mhm.
money don't buy happiness. So let's say if you
Mm-mm.
just providing financially, but you're not providing no the other necessary uh you know what I'm trying to say, the
Attributes.
services,
Yeah.
then it's not complete. The puzzle's not
Yeah,
going to never
no
be
emotional
complete.
support, no
Yeah.
support for because running a house is a
Yeah,
lot of work. It takes
yeah,
two people to run a
yeah.
household.
Security too. You got to provide security,
Mhm.
right?
Exactly.
You got to provide that protection that a lot of people put on men
Yeah.
and say protection, and you got to provide all services. So, and another question I put on social media was this: I said, I'm gonna ask you guys this too. Can an unemployed man still be the head of the household? What
Yeah.
are your opinion? Okay.
I would say so.
Mhm.
I mean, a lot of that goes back to how I was raised, though. So everybody may not feel that way, but you know, the way I was raised and in my culture, like the man is always going to be the head of the household. It don't really matter. Like that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And now, if my husband were unemployed, there would be some expectations of him taking care of some other things
Mhm.
as the head
That's
of this
providing.
household,
Oh,
right?
oh,
Yeah, because I can't do it all. I can't do it all by
Yeah.
myself. Otherwise, I would
right.
be by myself. Like,
I got you. I got you. But like, as long as he could still be head of household, unemployed, but he got to provide those other services. Is what you're saying?
yes,
Okay,
yes,
yeah.
you got to hold up your end of the deal.
Now I agree with that. Now a lot of women is like they was coming at me crazy. It's like, oh no, if you ain't working, you ain't ahead of nothing. You don't run those. You don't run the house. You don't dictate nothing. I'm like, that's
I
crazy.
mean,
And those type of
things
women,
come
I
and
got
go.
control all delete. Yeah, that's
A
true.
job is a
And
job. Like he could have
Yeah.
a badass job, when we first get together, but people get laid off. What you gonna do? You gonna leave him because he got laid off?
That's true.
a lot of women do, and I think that's crazy. That's
That
Satan.
is crazy. That is crazy.
um,
Then that wasn't love. The whole topic of today was
Yeah.
love, and that's not love. If you're just with a man because he had a corporate job and he got laid off
mhm.
and you did, that's not love.
Not at all, and it's tough. It's hard, It's hard, and that's why a lot of people really need to define what love is. They need to find love, and that, back to what I said earlier about insecurities. I think the people that, like women or the men that do that, they only get in a relationship because of what that person got in their bank account. It's an
Mhm.
insecurity in themselves. They don't know themselves. It's like
Or scarcity
they
too. People with a scarcity mindset are really bad about that.
Yeah, and that's tough. Like people of color, like that scarcity mindset is prevalent. They
Mhm.
grew up, people, places, and things, and it's hard for them to get out of that. Um, okay, so why do you think that people that's been married for years become miserable? Like
Mhm.
sleeping in different rooms, barely touching each other, and they become more like roommates. Why do you think that is? Like, let's just say somebody was married for 15 years, and then all of a sudden they just become miserable. Why do you think that is?
I think that's because they didn't prioritize the relationship, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, when you're in a long relationship like that, especially if you have children, you get
Mm-hmm.
so focused on the role of parent that you forget to be a spouse.
Mhm.
And
Mm,
then all of a sudden, you look around one day and you're like, I don't even know who this is. All I know is that they're breathing and it's annoying. I can say this because I've been divorced prior. So it's you have to prioritize being a spouse. That
Mhm.
relationship, if you don't take care of it, the whole family suffers. And so you have to make sure that you are still treating them the same way that you did when you were dating them, right?
right.
Everything
Mhm.
still has to be carried out. Even though you're tired, even though you're working, even though you got kids, even though you have all these new responsibilities that you didn't have back then, you have to prioritize that regular date night talking to each other about more than just whatever's going on in the household. Even if you don't have kids, y'all should be talking about more than just the money or
Yeah.
bills or whatever you
Mm,
have had at work. Y'all need to talk to each other because as the years pass, you change. Both of you
Yeah.
change. And so you
right.
have to relearn each other. And the
Yeah.
couples that don't do that, those are the ones that turn into the ones that sleep in separate rooms. don't want to be around each other because they don't even know each other
Nicely put. I like that. Nicer. You got something you want to add to that?
Um, she really just said pretty much everything I was going to say, like relearning each other, because every day we are different people. We become a different version of ourselves that we weren't the day before. So, and that's just like in marriage. You have to continue to date each other to know what's your likes,
Ooh,
what's your dislikes, because that changes over
I like
time.
that. And you hear what she said, Jessica? I like that. She said, when you're married, you got to continue to date each other. I use that. I like that. You got to continue to date. Yes, that's
Mhm.
true. Because a lot of times people get married and they become content
anymore.
and comfortable. Yeah. All
Yeah.
right. You got to keep dating. So, all right. So the people that be married for years or in a relationship for years, like 15, 20 years, and they become miserable. Um, is that a failed marriage? Do you say that as a failed marriage, or you see it as something like
I
just
don't see it as
dysfunctional?
failed
Or
because they're both still there.
okay,
That
They
means
can be
there's a
together.
willingness of some sort still there. It's dying. And if they don't do something to change it, yeah, it's going to
yeah,
fail
right,
eventually. But if they're still both in the same home and they are willing to say that they're married, not we're still together because I can't afford to move out, that's different. You know,
Mhm.
right,
if someone said that, I would consider that a failed marriage because at that point they've kind of given up on the relationship. They're strictly there for financial reasons. That's it. But
right,
if they're still there and still referring to them as their husband or wife, then there's still a glimmer of hope if they do what we talked about earlier, reach out to some resources, pray about it, start talking to each other. Say, hey, I don't like the way that this has been going. I know it's been this way for a long time. Let's change it. How do you feel about going out on a date night once a month?
mm,
But one of them has to take that step, or yes, it will fail.
Yeah.
right. And like I said, it's crazy because it's those times where like the light just goes out. The romance, the magic, the chemistry, the butterflies just fade away. And and like you said, it's all about just continue dating. It's about reconnecting with each other. It's about
Mhm.
finding different ways to bring life into the relationship, right? Like one of the things I said like a year ago on a podcast, I was like, Valentine's Day, I'm not looking for gifts, right? I think Valentine's Day for me as I get older, it's about how you do New Year's resolution. I feel like
Mhm.
Valentine's Day should be something similar, and that's what I try to implement. Is okay. The past year, where you think we lacked at, right? And whatever that is, we have that discussion.
Mhm.
Let's come up with a solution to enhance that and make that better. Let's bring
Like a
that back to where they
check-in.
used to be. Yeah, like a check-in. And that's what I think as I get older, and that's what I look for. I don't look for the gifts and all that stuff,
Mhm.
because that's a momentary thing. I'm looking for a lifetime thing, right? Something that's gonna be lasting. And I think that having that resolution of okay, this is what we faltered at, right? Let's find ways to recreate that magic. And that's the thing. And like I said earlier, when we both competing with each other, who could love each other more, that's
Mhm.
longevity, and we're always gonna be happy that way. You know what I'm saying? We're always gonna find a way to make it work. And it's about that cohesion, that team. So and I just wanted to put that what Rodney said earlier, like if I can find the message what he had up there. When he said true love is shown when you're able to make it through the hard times. And that's
Mhm.
powerful. I
I
love that.
truly
And that's the
believe
thing.
that.
Yeah, so that's when you know who's real, who's really there for you or not. It's like when you're down and out, and the people that's rocking with you, those are the people you gotta embrace. The people that be like, oh, hit me when you not feeling that way. Those are the people you gotta, like I always say, control, alt, delete, and get them out of there. Because I've dealt with a lot of them, and it's a lot of times that like I be wanting to open up, but I don't, and people come to me and say, "We're friends. I'm here for you." I care about you. So whenever you want to talk to me. And then the moment I start talking and getting into it, they be, oh my God, this shit again. And I'd be like, what happened? Because
You told
you
me to
told
come
me
to
to
you.
open. Yeah. So that happens a lot. And I think people, they might not do it intentionally, but people are so used to the stuff that be in social media, or they think that life is perfect and they take life for granted. It's those people that don't have that empathy and that understanding it, right? And yeah, it's all about people, places, and things. Put the right people around you, and like you put out
People
positive
don't
energy, you're gonna get positive.
people don't ever expect you to say anything other than I'm fine. Like when they ask you how you're doing, they don't actually mean that. And so when you bring up a real issue, and especially if it's an issue that they've heard before, people don't understand a lot of times unless they've been through it. Like speaking kind of about grief, but like everybody has a schedule and they're like, they think you should be over it by now. But they don't realize how long sometimes it takes you to process. And sometimes even when you process something, it still hurts. It kind of goes back to what
Mhm.
we were talking about earlier. You're healed, but that doesn't mean that it's never going to pop up again.
Right. You mean you're healing? You're not healed.
Correct. Correct.
Any moment you can have that relapse. So
Exactly.
yeah, and Rodney said absolutely. You have to make sure the relationship always stays first, and that's a step that a lot of us make. I mean, I'll miss. Keep that relationship first, right? Stay engaged at all times, and don't lose sight of that. It's like you don't want nobody to take one of your eyes from you. So just look at it like your wife or your significant other is your left eye, you the right eye. Like you want clear vision, so you got to continue to share that vision, share your thought process with them, and that's how you remain a team and you keep everything fresh, and you become you stay on one accord. It's important. Your thoughts, Nasya?
Um, what was the question one more time? I'm sorry.
Oh no, we were just talking about how, like, why people be together for so long and they just become miserable. We was still on that.
Oh yeah, I was everything that was talked about the continue to date each other. That's really good, and I ultimately they just have to keep knowing, relearning each other. Cause like one day they may like Snicker bars, the next day they might like Skittles. So you have
Yeah,
to relearn each other.
got you. Now, this is another thing I've been seeing a lot lately, or hearing people talk about. Um, like, social media. Do you think posting your significant other on social media is
Mm.
advertising or acknowledgement?
Um, it just depends on how far in the relationship you are.
Mm,
You don't want to put them out there prematurely, and you're like, what happened to such and such? Like,
right.
oh, you want to make sure it's solid before you actually like really.
So
That's what
okay,
I've learned.
so you all for, like, say for you together for a year, let's say that, and posting on social media, you all for that?
Uh, I used to be, but now I'm learning to keep it until like
Private?
you're engaged or married.
Got you. Okay, okay.
Because then you'll have all these like little things that may try to come up and you don't want to do that.
Jessica, your thoughts?
um, so I am not a huge like I don't use Facebook like I used to, right? When it first came out and everybody was on Facebook and always posting all the time, that's not something that I really do. And again, being in a long-term relationship, for us, you're not going to know anything about our lives by looking at our Facebook. And
Mhm.
that's just
Right,
the way we keep it. We keep it very private. It doesn't really have anything to do with advertising or not. If you see a picture of us, it's because we went somewhere and we just thought we looked cute. So we took a picture and we posted it because we do have family on Facebook, right? And so that's how we use social media in our relationship. I have seen what she's talking about where other people try to usurp you on your own post.
Mm.
So
right,
I would say focus on the relationship and what stage you're in. Because yes, you want to make sure it's not some fly by night kind of thing. Because
Mhm.
then everybody that actually knows you is going to be asking you about it 15,000 times, and that's not enjoyable for anybody.
No.
But also, don't let your worry stop you from living the way you feel like living. So if you and your date went somewhere and it's at that point where you feel comfortable posting them, post it. Like it's
right,
your page, it's your life. And at the end of the day, if any of those little things pop up and it distracts them, then you know that person was not meant for you.
Mhm.
Right. Now, I know some people that, you know, say they don't post their significant other, because that's why I was saying advertising, because they, like, if it's a woman, they don't want to post their boyfriend on there because they like, oh, it's advertised. Now all these other women that might envy me, now they're gonna try to push up on him and stuff like that. Or they might see how happy he makes me, and now all these women want him.
Yeah.
So that's what I meant when I like advertising. Um, and now in the flip side, I said, or acknowledgement, because I've known a lot of people that get mad at their significant other, or they break up with them because they like, oh, you don't never post me on social media, and it's like that's a red flag. Now, me personally, I don't do it. I don't post when I'm in a relationship. I don't post pictures, because I look at it as, you know, it's one of those things that when they say what goes on in the house stays in the house. Right,
Mm.
I'm not trying to post things like, because generally when we post pictures, it might be a picture we might, oh, she looks sexy in that picture. You know, I'm gonna post it. A lot of times we look, or a woman say, "Oh, my man look good today. I'm gonna post this." But so now other people gonna be attracted. If we're attracted to it, other people is gonna be attracted. So that's one reason I never do it. And you know, people that might envy you, they might just try to push up. You know what I'm saying? Or a lot of times, well, what happens? We had these friends or these so-called friendships, and we both do it. Men do it, women do it. We have an argument. Now we go into our boys and like, oh, she this is that. Or even the good times. Even the good times. I don't know why men do it. I don't. They might have a sexual encounter, but oh, she did it like this. And now that man that you think is your friend sitting back like, oh yeah. Now you post it on social media. Now he like, oh, she look like that and she do that. Oh yeah, I'm gonna push up. So I don't do it. That's just me personally. I don't post
Mhm.
pictures on social media of my significant other. I just don't do it. You know. So that's just my take on that. Um, you you was about to say something?
No.
Mm.
Okay. Um, so give me something from give me something that would help me understand a woman from a woman's perspective. Like some gems. You
Mm.
know, a lot of men they try their best to understand women, but like, you know, we always say that we would never fully understand a woman, but I feel like it goes both ways though. So how can a man understand a woman better, in your opinion, Jessica?
I think that it takes time. Uh, I think that you have to study her. You have to pay attention, and she will notice if you do, and she'll notice if you don't.
Mm,
So I think that it's key to be observant, and when she's talking, even if it sounds like trivial things, you remembering any of those trivial things is going to stand out to her because she'll be like, "Oh my God, he was actually listening. He remembered that I like this candy or this movie or some small detail that seems real insignificant, and it is. The detail isn't what matters. It's that you remembered it, that you thought enough of
mm,
her
Mhm.
to study and listen what she was saying and
mm,
recall it because that takes effort. That shows effort. You're putting effort into that person.
mm.
That's
That's
all I
good.
want. I want effort. I want
Mhm.
So it should be reciprocated as well, right? Or you're
Yeah.
saying women
absolutely.
should, okay, because
No, it
sometimes
goes
women
both
lose sight of that.
ways.
A lot of times women want to be the princess and don't believe in the prince.
No, it
So
goes both ways because he's a human too and he has value. So I don't expect anything of him that I wouldn't want him to expect from me.
gotcha.
That's true.
Now I would say from a man's perspective, from a man's point of view, or at least for me, I feel like when a man goes out day in and day out and he tries his best, that he really loves you, right? And that's how I feel. Because if he don't love you, I don't think he's gonna try, or he's gonna give you maybe 30%. And so this, but it's crazy though. So I know a lot of women that they might say, "Oh, I know my man tried his best, but his best ain't good enough," and they were so quick to leave that relationship. So I think that's grimy, and that's, like we said earlier, it's not the right. I don't know. She's hurting. She might have some insecurities or something. What you about to say, Nisa?
Okay, so when you were talking about the when she said that her man's not doing enough, sometimes you never know what he's experienced on the inside of him that he's not sharing because you're just was that like we were talking about being selfless earlier. Like, are you, and I know we're talking about understanding a woman better from our perspective, but when you had mentioned that part, that came up for me because how you're saying like some women may leave their man because they're not like he may be doing the bare minimum, but at least he's trying.
Right.
So that's what came up for me. And then about understanding a woman, one thing that I wanted to input is about listen to understand, not to fix a solution. Sometimes we just
Ooh.
want to be heard. We don't want you to
Mm.
necessarily fix anything at the moment. We just want to get it out. We just want to
Mhm.
you to hear
I
us.
like that. I like that. You know, and for me, you know, one thing I from a young age, I always saw myself as being a complete man. So I always try to study a woman. I've been around so many women in my life that like maybe not engage in conversation, but I always try to study women, right? If I see them talking to their girlfriends about what they like in their relationship, what they don't like in their relationship, I try to apply all that to my day to day. And so I'm always a student in the game, and that, you know, so I think men really learn from women, and that's what I always try to do, you know. And I take what works for me, what worked for me, you know, and I just take it from there. So like you guys just said, like, you know, it's about just not trying to fix everything, right? But just being there, showing up and just listening and being that ear. So, I mean, that's something that I've definitely heard throughout my journey in life. So that's nice. I like the way you put that.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, like I said, it is sad though when a man's efforts gets overlooked. I think that's terrible. And but then again, like we said earlier, I think that comes down to getting to know that person before jumping headfirst into that relationship. So, you know, that's something
Yeah.
a lot of us need to work harder at. Because you know, just like women, men, um, we want a level of reassurance as well.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. When I say that to men, men look at me like, "What kind of shit are you on?" But that's the truth, though. Those are the men that's insecure. They look at me like I got three heads. But like, you know,
Mhm.
men want that reassurance as well, right? Men want security as well. Like if I go
That's
out in the street right
human.
now and say, ask a man, "Yo, you want security in your relationship or from your girl?" They're gonna say no. But that's not that's them
That's so
hiding from the
true.
truth. We want that
Yeah.
security as well.
They
Just
need
like
a
think
safe
about it when
space
we
too. Yeah.
like our mothers are the first teachers of civilization, and we look for that comfort, we look for that companionship, we look for that love, we look for, you know, all these things in
Mhm.
our mother first before venturing out into a relationship or thinking we're going to date some woman, you know what I'm saying? So we look for it in our mother. Why are you saying we don't look for it in our significant other? It just doesn't make sense, right?
Mhm.
It's
Well,
just the way
science
God
tells us
designed the world.
that. Like,
Yeah.
science tells us that that's why we find certain features attractive because biologically we are craving a safe place where we can
Mhm.
create a family.
Absolutely. You know, so you know, like I say, I don't shy away from none of that stuff. Like I often tell people, sometimes I'm vulnerable. People like, you vulnerable? What kind of feminist? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. It's crazy. Um, I'm not sure what she's thanking you for, but she said thank you. Um, see, it took me a long time to realize that my wife just wants me to
It takes
listen
a
and
lot
not
of
fix
people
it.
a long time.
Woo.
And it's crazy. Nysa just said that. So that's the thing. And a lot of men, we inherently we just think that we got all the answers. We inherently think that, well, because I'm the man, it's my way the highway, and or she's going to conform to me, you know. But it's not about that. If we want, you know, when they say happy wife, happy life, right? A lot of people take it literal. It's not necessarily literal, but it's just if it's got meaning in it though. It's definitely got a message in the glass bottle. Like, you know, you keep the woman happy, you be happy, right?
Mhm.
It minimizes the conflict. What's this? I fight hard enough in the world. I just want my home to be a place where I
It's
Mhm.
have peace.
supposed to be a
Yeah,
place of peace and rest. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Um, Yeah, so I like me personally, like I was saying but before about the reassurance, like I personally want a woman that's going to have all the right answers no matter what the situation is. And I don't mean perfect, but what I mean is like when I'm down and I feel like this is over for me, I'm never gonna get myself out of this. I expect the woman to be there to be like, oh no, listen, you're better than that. And I don't care how you feel right now. I know the man that you are, right? And no matter what the situation, if I'm on a high horse, I expect her to knock me down. Like, listen, I'm glad that you're here,
Hmm.
Let's come back to reality and scale it back a little bit and just focus on the task at hand. So for me personally, I expect the woman I'm with to have all the right answers no matter what the situation is. And that goes back to before, like being that having that strong counterpart, man. That's important.
Yeah.
So you're married. Are you single or in a relationship, Nisa?
I'm single.
Okay. It's been a while for you.
Yeah.
That's tough. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it can be. Some people like their peace, and and
It's been
is it
peaceful.
religious?
I ain't gonna lie. It's been peaceful.
Is it a religious thing or something else?
No, it's not. I just
Oh,
been working on my business.
gotcha. And that that's tough
Mhm.
too. Trying to maintain a business and a relationship. That's double duty. That is hard work right there. And that's what I was saying earlier. Like the person you in a relationship, they got to understand that they're not just getting in a relationship with you. They also getting in a relationship with
Yeah.
your goals, your ambitions, your dreams, and that they. And a lot of people don't want that. They might just want the beauty. They want the exterior and don't want the interior. So it's very important to take your time in relationships. So all right. So the rest of the show is just straight questions and um let's see. So let me ask this: is love an emotion or a choice?
That was a choice.
So you
I
choose to
think
love.
so too.
Okay. Um, how do you balance individuality and togetherness? In other words, like your personal time and your time within that relationship. How do you find that balance?
For us, I try to make sure that we each have time because we have our own goals that we're working on, right? And so goals and also personal like things that we want to do on our
Mhm.
own. So for me, that might be going to get a pedicure. For him, that might be playing video games. Like we have our own goals that we're working on, plus our own personal activities that we like to take care of. And so I try to make sure that we have our time together first, and then the leftover time goes to doing our personal things. Because, I mean, y'all know how video games are. You can get
Hmm.
involved in that, and he may never come back. I may never see him again. So
Yeah.
so we do our couple time first. We, agree on what we're gonna do for the day together, and then afterward we go take care of whatever it is that we have planned for our days. But that's how we tackle it. Is we make the couple the priority, and then the remainder of the time is individual time.
Okay. So you got like basically like y'all compartmentalize it. It's like time slots and stuff. Like
We have to because of the kids. Like it's not, if it was just him and us, then it probably would be different. But we have a toddler and two teenagers, so the toddler takes a lot of time.
understood. Nicer. How would you find that balance between me time and relationship or quality time?
Mm. I like what Jessica said. Having that time slot of togetherness, and then also doing what she likes to do and what her husband likes to do. Because as individuals, we already have our goal, like she said, our goals and aspirations. So you
Right.
don't want to get lost in just always spending time with each other, but you also have to have that time alone to reflect on what you're doing, check in with yourself, and then um, that's that balance. But also continuing to pour within yourself, have your quality time is important.
It's
Love
back to
that.
what we
Love
said
that.
earlier. It's
Yes.
intentional, right?
Hmm.
We can always spend more time together, right? If we see that, okay, I don't really feel like playing video games
Yeah.
or doing anything else today, we can always change it, but we at least know that we have this time. We can do more, but we're never going to do less.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And I actually like that. I never thought about doing anything like that. It's just me. I don't know. I guess I get complacent. Like I know who I am, and I know who when I'm in a relationship, who she is, and it's for me. It's like I don't know. After a while, it becomes routine. But that I think that might have would have helped in so many instances. What you said, like let me set this time for myself and this for yourself, and then the rest of the time, we got to come together and just make this thing
Mhm.
work. And I think that would have helped me a lot in my relationships. But
It works
I never
really
thought about
well for us, because we know at minimum we're getting this time. But then if we both decide, I'm having a good time, let's hang out for a little bit longer,
Mhm.
then we
it. And
can,
then
because it's
and yeah, and that brings more excitement because
yes, because you're
and
happy
it's
that you're
unexpected.
both
Yeah,
happy.
yeah, got you. So I got a real good question for y'all. And this is one that I go back and forth with people all the time about. Um, should you always be financially transparent with your significant other?
Yeah.
Mm,
Because at some point in the relationship, they're gonna find out if you lying about your finances or not.
Jessica, what you think? Should you always be financially transparent with your significant other?
If you
You
are
married,
in a,
so it's
yeah, if you're in a committed relationship where
yeah,
y'all are like living together, yes.
yeah.
Mhm.
Mm,
And the reason I say that is because my background is in financial services. And you don't know how many people I have seen where the significant other passed and now they have no idea what
Yeah.
they have access to, and they don't have a way to pay for the funeral. So
mm,
it's not about I don't want them in all my details. It's about preparing for future, because if you are in a committed relationship, you should be able to share that. There is no reason. Now, I'm not saying they have to have access to everything,
Yeah.
okay.
but they should know it exists. They should be listed as payable upon death so that if something does happen to you, they can take care of what they need to take care of, because you're sharing a life together and
Mhm.
it is expensive to die. So
That's true.
it's very expensive. And if the account is payable on death, that gives them what they need without giving them a debit card to your account, because there are partners that have problems with spending. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just being honest. So,
Yeah.
your partner. If your partner's not going to abuse it, yeah, give them access. But if your partner is going to cause you to not be able to pay your rent or your house payment, then don't give them a card. Just make it payable on death.
Right. Now, so for me, when I say I always be observant and I try to learn from women, for the majority of my life, I heard women teach their daughters never tell a man everything you got in your bank account. Right. So again, at an early age, in like high school, I said, you know what? All these women teaching their daughters that. Okay, now I'm gonna flip it. I'm gonna apply that to my life. So I'm good at money, managing money, right? Like you said, a lot of people are not. So for me, like I might tell you 90% of what I got, but I don't believe I should tell you 100%, right? Because let's
Mhm.
just say one day the relationship don't work out and I done told you everything I had and you just milked me for it, or prior to the breakup or something, like you say I need XYZ. Now I exhausted all my funds. Now there's no more relationship and I don't have nothing to fall back on. I think that's crazy. So for
That's
me,
where boundaries come
90%,
into play,
Yeah.
yeah,
because
but you
you
never.
control access. So you could tell her about it all day long, but that don't mean she can get a hold of it.
That's true. But what about the people that be in a relationship and say, "What's yours is mine," and vice versa, and like,
That should
so
all be agreed upon before y'all get married.
yeah,
That
right,
comes with those conversations.
right. Nice. What
How
you
are
got
we going
something
to
you want to
raise
add to that?
kids? How are we going to
Yeah.
handle money? Those are big questions.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And it
Okay.
goes back to what we were talking about earlier, when dating, like get deeper into questions and not just like the surface questions. You got to ask
Yeah.
those tough questions.
Now, staying on the topic of marriage, right? Because we only got one married one in the room right now. But so
I'm in the hot seat.
should marriage be the end result?
Oh, for me, it always was, but uh, and to me, it always will be. That's my opinion. Like, I don't see the point in being a serial dater.
Mm.
Okay. I'm gonna say something that after nice ago. What you about to say, nice?
For me, yeah, marriage is the goal. I don't want to keep dating all my life. I mean, just gonna
Exactly.
Okay, so
like
I'm glad both of y'all said the same thing. This is my
uh,
thing. What? Okay, what is the difference between a committed relationship, a serious relationship, in marriage? What's the difference? The
Marriage
benefits
is
and
actually
perks
a
don't change.
contract.
It's
Ma-
okay, okay.
it's contract. And so basically, you becoming married, or at least because like my husband and I, we weren't married for 11 years out of our 13-year relationship. So I've done it, both ways. And that's because I was divorced. So I know what it takes to get out of a marriage. It's a lot
Yeah,
harder to get out of a marriage than to get in a marriage. So that's why it's very important to have those talks and really consider before you take that step, because it is a big step. Not because the
right,
paper means so much, but because the paper is a legal document. It is a document that allows you access to assets, to have rights to property. And so essentially, it's a legal contract. And if you are committed to each other, this goes back to my other response when it comes to the hard times, right? When something happens, I don't have to fight for access to anything because I'm already a spouse.
right.
That's why we made the choice, right? It impacts your insurance, it impacts so many different business decisions. Now, I'm not saying that's why you should get married. I'm saying that's why we ended up signing that paper, because we were together a very long time before marriage,
Mm.
because divorce traumatized me a little bit. But uh because of that, I wanted to make sure that if I ever did get married again, it was going to be the last time I got married, because it is a very difficult contract to get out of.
Not you. And the key word you said was contract. For me, I look at it like this. People are creatures of habit, right? So if you're committed, you're committed, right? I feel like if you're in a serious relationship and you say you're committed to one another, once you get married, nothing really changes, right? Your happiness don't change. So at the end of the day, my thing is, what is the point of marriage, right? Because when you get married now, like you said, it's a legal bonding with that paperwork, right? And you know that bonding is like bondage. That's like captivity. Yes, no, the love disappears. I feel like for most people when you get in marriage, the love goes away and becomes more like you're like a business partner. It's a business arrangement, right? And it's like you were
It is
saying,
a
like,
business arrangement, and it's usually in the man's benefit.
oh god. But I'm just so what part of love is I'm a so when you get married, you pay for the reception hall, right? They don't Your guests don't pay for that. It's usually the bride's family, but they pay for it. That's not love. How's that love? You feeding everybody. You pay for a DJ. You exhaust all this money just for one day, right? A commitment is a commitment, right? So love is love. So if you committed to that person, why are we spending all this money talking about we need this legal document that say we married? Like that, because a lot of people look at marriages, oh, that means you committed. Okay, well, it's infidelity in marriages. So again, when you get married, it's no difference. The perks and benefits does not change, in my opinion. So for me, I just struggle with the whole concept of marriage. That's just me.
marriage is also a sacred covenant with you two and God.
I'm glad you said that because that's the only thing for me personally that I accept.
Mhm. It's
Is
not,
is is is
yeah, it is a
yeah. When you say
contract, but it's also like, with you and God and your
She's talking about marriage, the act, which is very true.
Mhm.
So
yeah.
there are two parts to that, right? There's the
Mhm.
legal part, but then there's the actual covenant between you and that spouse and God.
Mhm.
Got you. Um, since I said that it's infidelity in marriages, right? Let me ask you this: can you rebuild trust after infidelity?
Ooh,
That's a tricky. I know that's a slippery slope, but
she can
some
go
people
first
say
on this
yes, some
one.
people say no. Uh-oh.
I mean, I believe it can be possible. Both parties have to be willing to want to do the work.
So if you got cheated on, you wouldn't leave the relationship. You believe in finding a way to retrust that person and gain that trust back.
First, we got to see what the breakdown was. What happened? What caused you to do that?
Mm.
But I mean, just kind of like, well, you know, if it's worth saving, I mean, you can't just like if it's the first offense, okay, let's work it out. Let's talk it out. Let's see what happened. Let's see what the breakdown was.
Right,
But
right.
I ain't never been married before, so you know, I'm just saying.
Well,
Like,
I'm saying it could be in a relationship. So take marriage out. Like in a relationship, if somebody cheated on you, you know. So I mean, you just say if it's the first offense, okay, you
yeah,
willing to
you
work it
gotta
out.
see what the breakdown was and what caused it to happen.
Jessica, your thoughts?
That's me. I agree with Rodney. It's not possible for me. Like
Yeah.
that's you don't cross the line, okay? There's not I'm asking you the same thing you're asking of me, right?
Mhm.
He's asking me not to be out here making him look like a fool. So I'm asking the same thing. So
Right, right.
I mean that's just again goes back to how I was raised. That's just not something that I'm okay with. If you're okay doing that to me, because you're supposed to be my protector, my provider, my safe space. You're not a safe space anymore.
Mm.
Not for me.
I got you. Now it's tough. You know, it's very tough because quite naturally I would want to say that no, I couldn't be rebuild trust, but I've done it too many times to you know, so I can't be the pot calling the kettle. I've been cheated on, and I was that guy. It's like, okay, how can we make this work? Because sometimes it's that chemistry. It's that it's you get so used to somebody, so comfortable, and you just hold on to the memories and the good times, and it's like you don't want to see it go. You're not ready to see it go, and then you try to find ways to make it work, and somewhere in your mind you justify. I was that guy. I see that face. Jessica's like, no, but I was that person.
Yeah,
It's like, I
Jessica's
would never
looking
do it.
like you love them
Not,
more than they loved you.
ooh, see, not when you
I'm
put it that way.
sorry.
You make me. Now, you see how she did that?
I'm
Nice.
sorry.
It's good. You love that more than you love. I see. See, when she put it like that, it makes me feel crazy. Like, yeah, I took her back. That's crazy.
Mhm.
It's not crazy because you're right. Like there is a comfort in someone that you've been with, especially if it's been a long time. So I'm
Right.
not saying that it would be easy to walk away from something like that. Like I'm not saying that that's an easy choice either way, to walk away
Mhm.
or to stay. That's a very difficult position to be in because you've built a life. If it's a long relationship, right? You've built a life with this person. So I'm not saying it would be easy for me to just be like, it would hurt. It would hurt a
Yeah.
lot, but you're gonna have to go. Like,
Mhm.
Okay.
And then it goes back to what we were talking about, love being a choice. So you chose to give her
exactly.
another choice, another chance because you loved her.
Right. Yeah. It's
So
Mm-mm.
that's a slippery. Uh, okay.
mhm.
Does liking or commenting on attractive strangers' photos is that considered a breach of trust?
I don't know if it's necessarily a breach of trust, but I would find it disrespectful, highly disrespectful. Like, what is the reason? Why are you doing this? Like, why do you think it's okay to do this?
Right.
Yeah.
Is it a
Mhm.
breach of trust to you, Lysa?
Like Jessica was saying, like what's your intention behind it?
Yeah, like,
What's the comments, but then again, it just goes to the it can be situational in how secure you guys are in your relationship.
Hmm. Is keeping small secrets or white lies, is that considered betrayal?
is the secret about a present for me, or
No,
because I like those white lies, I'll take them all day.
no, it's just like something that like he might say, dang, if I tell her this, it's gonna cause disruption or confusion, or she's gonna be upset about it. Like, or I don't want to tell her this because out of fear of how she might perceive me or something like that.
But
I'm
then
not
that
gonna
goes
lie,
back
I
to
have
the safe
crossed that
space,
bridge.
right? It
Would you
goes
say,
back
Nasya?
to that safe space. Are you in a safe space where you can share that? Even if it's something small. You
Yeah,
gotta have that safe space.
but nobody's perfect though. So I mean, so that's
No,
why I'm
Exactly.
saying if
nobody's
somebody keep
perfect.
us a small little secret, a little white lie, is that would you look at that as being portrayed? Would you look at that as portrayal?
I don't think so. I mean, it's one of those very situational questions,
Mhm.
but generally speaking, I would say probably not. I wouldn't look at that like betrayal. I might be mad, depending on what it is,
Right, right.
but I might be more upset depending on what it is. I might be more upset that you felt like you couldn't come to me.
Mhm.
Got you.
Yeah.
Okay. Sticking with the breach of trust. Is it a breach of trust to complain about your significant other to friends and family?
Oh yeah, you gotta keep them
Mm.
out your business.
You both y'all agree to that? That's
Yeah, I
something
don't
that
discuss that outside of the house because it's just gonna come back to bite you.
I feel the same way. But I've dealt with it and I've seen it a lot. Where you just complain about your significant other to your friends and the family, and then it's all. And then what happens when that friend or that family member and you have a disagreement, and they're like, "Oh, instead of coming at
You
me,
remember
maybe you should have
when?
been,
Ooh,
yeah, you should have been nicer to your wife and stuff like so. Like you said, it causes
Ooh,
extra drama and toxicity that shouldn't, you know, exist.
because you're
Um,
always gonna
but
forgive your significant other and your family. They're just gonna hold on to it.
that's true, and they just cause unnecessary friction. I feel like. What do you say? Sometimes the truth is worse than the lie. I love it when I tell my wife the truth and she is convinced it's a lie. Yeah, that's just that's crazy, but that's the truth. That's women. Women, for some reason, y'all have a hard time just trusting and believing men in general, and I don't get it. We could be dead ass honest, and you guys are like you're lying. Okay, well,
You're like,
I'm gonna
oh
tell a lie
no.
next time. You don't think so? You trust your husband all the time?
Oh no, no, no. I'm saying that's what I say to him. Sometimes
Oh,
I do the same thing like Rodney's wife. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know, is that true? Let me
that's
investigate.
that's insane. And from a man's perspective, we look at that like this is crazy. I am never good enough. And then some men, y'all women make a lot of men feel inadequate sometimes. Like, dang, I'm busting my ass. I'm giving you my all, and I'm doing my best, and it's just going unnoticed. It's like, oh, it's not good enough for me. So that's what I was saying earlier. It's crazy. Um, okay, I got two more questions. Should a partner's career take precedence over the others?
Ooh, that's a good question.
should a
Yeah.
partner's career take precedence over another
Oh,
over theirs?
yes.
No, I don't think it should take precedent. I think there should be like a balance. You help me, I help you. We can continue to grow together. Is
So
that
what if it's like a conflict in schedules or like you're not going to get the quality time that you want because of my career and like or say for instance your career you make more money in your career, right, and you got longevity, and then your significant other he has his career, but it's like you like no, I got to focus on mine. Like I can't worry about helping you with your career because I need to keep. You believe in that, or you think you
I
just
think you
because
gotta
I don't
find the
think sometimes it's
time.
hard to find a balance. It's hard to find a
Yeah.
balance sometimes.
But you gotta be creative and make it work. It just
That's
goes
good.
back to like dating each other, continue
Yeah,
dating each other. So like
yeah,
while you're in your careers, you gotta find that balance, find that way of, making it work and having that time for each other.
got you.
So I have been in this position.
Mhm.
When my husband and I first got together, he was on an upward trend, right? He was getting promoted, and we ended up having to move across the country for his job. Now, I agreed to do that because it was beneficial for him and our family. Like we were
Right.
all going to benefit from it. So my career took a hit because we needed to leave for his job.
Mm,
Now, that doesn't mean that I didn't work. It just means that my career didn't really grow. I kind of stayed plateaued at the same level because we were moving a lot for his job. But the way that we sorted that out is for our second move when we ended up in Texas. We went from Georgia to Ohio to Texas. It was crazy. But when we moved to the second spot, At that point, he was in the same role, so he knew what he was doing. You know, it wasn't like anything was changing other than the territory. So he took, instead of, you know, having me go find another job, he said, I want you to go back to school. I want you to go
Mm,
invest in yourself. And so I invested in him to start with, right? And let him grow because it was going to benefit all of us. And
right.
then he said, okay, look, I got it right now. We're good with one paycheck. You go to school, take care of getting that done so you can go do what you need to do. And so now we're at the point where I've had my degrees, I have a corporate job, I have my own business. And now he is in the situation where he is learning. He's
Oh
working
no.
still, but he's still
Oh,
working, but he's also learning he's going for his real estate license.
okay. That's
So
crazy how that works. Y'all just flip roles.
it's
Yeah,
just a
yeah,
give,
yeah.
yeah, it's a give and take. And that's what I was telling you earlier. Sometimes, you know, you have to be willing to reach back and help each other. That's the only way that the relationship is going to last. He's going to have periods of growth. I'm going to have periods of growth. And you have to be willing to either be the one that's growing or the one that's supporting, because it's not always going to be feasible for both of you to grow at the same time, especially if
Ooh,
you have
that's a tough one.
children. Yeah, especially your
Tough.
children, aging parents, any of those responsibilities that come as we get older. You're not always going to be able to grow at the same time, at the same pace. So you have to be able to communicate with each other and figure out a plan, just like Nasya was saying. You have to. It's the only
Mhm.
way it's going to work.
Mm.
That's you. So okay, how much independence is too much in a committed relationship?
Mm.
Mm. I'm going to need you to narrow that question down a little bit because I don't really know where we're going with this.
How much independence is too much in it? So like how much um me time will be too much in a committed relationship? You know, like sometimes people in a relationship and
Mm.
I need to focus on myself. I need to put myself first. So where is the limit? Where should there be a cutoff is with that if you're saying you're in a committed relationship? Because a lot of people feel like if you're in a committed relationship, y'all should be together. It should be at least 95% relationship or 90% relationship or 90% us. And then 5%, 3% you focus on yourself or something like that. 'Cause I know a lot of people that say they
Mm.
committed, and every day is me. It's all about me, 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 me. You know, they say like
Mm.
the little eye roll, but like I gotta put myself first. You know, I love you, but I'm first. My happiness first. My everything is first. So
I think, I think in the beginning, maybe like 95%, because you guys are still like learning each other, right? In the beginning of the relationship, you're probably going to spend like the majority of your time together because y'all are obsessed with each other in the beginning. But as the years roll by, I think that it doesn't, as long as I don't have the feeling of being right neglected, or like I feel like I haven't seen you, or I feel like I haven't talked to you. Like those are huge warning signs that something is wrong, right?
Mm.
right,
So, for us, like I said, we have time scheduled, so it's not something that ever goes missing. But there are times when I'm like, hey, could we could we do a little bit more? And he's always game, but uh I think that's I think that's really the key, is just kind of tuning it to your own preference, because each couple's going to be different. What they like, some couples like to be separate all the time. Like there are gamer couples that game separately next to each other. Like they're not even playing the
crazy,
same game, like,
crazy.
and to
Yeah,
them that's togetherness, but that's just
Mm.
the way they are. So you have to find out like what works for you as a person and what works out for you as a couple, the two of you, the
got
collective
it,
you.
got you. Nicer,
That's a good perspective. Haven't mastered that one yet, so I definitely learned a lot. Thank you.
got you. Well, so I know I'm gonna put y'all on the spot, one of y'all at least. So since I started my spiritual journey, what I like to do as much as possible is close out with either a scripture or a prayer. So if one of you guys want to take a stab at that,
Okay.
just give us a scripture or you could give us a prayer to lead us out.
I can pray us out.
Okay.
All right. Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for allowing us to gather together today to talk about love, trust, and commitment. And God, we just thank you for loving us unconditionally, and thank you for continuing to teach us about love every day because it's an everyday thing. Because some days we don't get it exactly like we need to, but Lord, thank you for affording us another day to continue to learn and grow even more. And God, we just thank you for the host of this amazing podcast. Lord, that you continue to touch him right now from the crown of his head to the sole of his feet. Lord, continue to touch his journey of where he is right now and his growth with you, oh God. And Lord, we just pray right now for Jessica, oh God. Lord, that you continue to touch her as well. Continue to strengthen her in every area that she needs strengthening, oh God. And Lord, for the listeners right now, Lord, anybody that is going through anything right now, God, we just pray that you continue to touch them afresh, touch them like only you can, and continue to give them guidance as you would always give us guidance in every situation that we experience. And God, as we get ready to end this live, Lord, continue to be with us, strengthen us, and continue to cover us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I love that. Well received. Well received. So that's going to conclude today's episode. We hope everybody that's been watching got something from it. Continue to like, share, comment, and if you haven't already, subscribe. And the next show it's going to be centered on Women's History Month. And I know it's March, that is Women's History Month, but we at the end of this month, so I feel like it's appropriate. And next week's topics will be balancing family and work life, and then there'll be another topic in discussion on faith and mental health. But I appreciate y'all. It was an honor, privilege to have you on today, and you're more than welcome to come back anytime.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. So be blessed and enjoy the rest of your night.